Welcome back. We are now entering the most psychologically dangerous phase of UPSC preparation. The final 10 days to Prelims 2026 that will be held on May 24th, 2026. And listen carefully that most aspirants will not fail because the lack of knowledge, but they will fail because they lost control. UPSC in the final phase becomes less about information and more about the decision making which is under pressure. So at this stage, one panic decision, one emotional mock test, one confidence collapse, and one CSAT mistake can destroy and your entire year. So that is why today's session is extremely important, because I am going to show you the 7 mistakes that silently destroy serious aspirants in the final days before the prelims examination. And if you avoid these mistakes, your score automatically will improve. So remember this one line very carefully, that is, in the final 10 days, UPSC is not testing who studied the most. UPSC is not testing who studied the most. Then it is testing who can remain stable when pressure increases. So we are going to discuss about the 7 mistakes we have to avoid. What are the mistakes and how the way to we avoid that mistakes, and how we will improve our scores in the examination. All these things let we discuss comprehensively. So we are going to the mistake number 1, that is running behind news sources. What is this mistake? What is mistake number 1, that is running behind news sources? This is the first mistake. It is extremely common. Why? Why is it common? Why it is common? Let me explain. Suddenly aspirants starts downloading new PDFs, random compilations, crash notes, and most expected topics, and 500 questions before prelims. These types of things they are doing, and psychologically they feel I am preparing more. No, that is not the correct way. You are increasing mental fragmentation doing all these things. That is why you have to listen very carefully here. The brain in the final days needs few things like compression, reinforcement, recall stability. These things you have to have. but not expansion of the content. In the exam hall, you are sitting inside the exam hall. You see, when you see a question on some topic like wet bulb temperature, suddenly after seeing this question, your brain remembers four PDFs, three conflicting definitions, random coaching notes, and recall becomes unstable. Why? Because you are doing all these things. This is exactly what happens when revision architecture collapses, when you are running behind new sources. So, you have to understand one thing very clearly here is UPSC not asking how many PDFs did you touch. What is asking? It is asking, can you retrieve correctly under pressure? That is the different thing here. So from today onwards, revise fewer sources again and again. Repeat previous year questions. Strengthen memory pathways. Consolidate notes. These all are doable things. You have to do these things, but don't running behind new sources. Do not chase information. You have to imbibe and increase and improve, build retrieval strength. That is what you have to do in these days before the examination. This is the mistake number one. This is all about mistake number one, that is running behind new sources. And we are moving to mistake number two, that is random strategy consumption. What is random strategy consumption? This is very dangerous modern problem. What is this? Aspirants continuously consume topper strategy videos, cut-off discussions, attempts strategy, how I cleared UPSC in 45 days, etc., etc., etc. And slowly their internal rhythm collapses with doing all these things, consume all these things. So listen carefully. Every serious aspirant must have one stable execution system. One stable execution system, not 25 conflicting systems. You have to have one serious, very stable execution system. It comes to the exam hall. That is the one reality like this. One video says attempt 95 questions in the examination, then you will qualify. Another video says like this, attempt only 70 questions, you will qualify the examination. But another says solve environment first. Another says start with quality. Multiple videos says multiple things. And inside the exam hall, your brain freezes, consume all these things. So that is why what you have to do is you have to train the confusion with this. But instead of confusion, execution consistency, you have to train your mind. So that is why one stable execution system is need here. In the final days, too much strategic content creates decision fatigue. So stop searching for magical strategies now. The time was over. Time is over. Trust your own preparation architecture. Then we are going to mistake number three, that is ignoring CSAT reality. This is where many aspirants collapse. They emotionally believe like this: my GS is very strong. CSAT somehow happens. No, that is wrong. Modern CSAT is now a selection filter because UPSC is testing comprehension under fatigue, logical filtering, pressure control, and time discipline they are testing. And many aspirants realize this only inside the exam hall. That becomes very fatal. In the exam hall, you finish GS mentally exhausted. First half, then CSAT begins in the second half. First are First of all, reading comprehension feels difficult. Second, reading comprehension feels lengthy. Quantitative aptitude feels slow. Suddenly panic starts. Then your speed collapses, comprehension weakens, and logical elimination also disappears. And the paper becomes psychologically heavier. So that is why CSAT preparation now is not about formulas alone. And you must prepare CSAT reality. Don't ignore CSAT reality. Don't ignore CSAT. That is the suicidal thought, because CSAT is filtering filtering students, aspirants. Day by day, they are increasing the toughness, logic with the questions. So it is about maintaining mental clarity under exhaustion, not only formulas, CSAT preparation. So what should you do now is not 6 hour quantum marathons. Instead of that, you have to do is daily reading comprehension drills. You have to do non-negotiable. This is and logical reasoning practice. You have to do timed CSAT blocks and elimination based solving. These things you have to do with utmost care and clarity. You have to remember one thing very much clear and carefully. That is, CSAT is now more psychological than mathematical. CSAT is now more psychological than mathematical. This has to be remember all the time. We are moving to mistake number four, that is mark addiction without analysis. What is this mark addiction without analysis? This is the another dangerous mistake students are doing. Aspirants continuously attempt marks, one after another, one after another, and they feel productive. But listen very much care here. Marks alone do not improve scores. Analysis improves scores. It comes under exam hall. It will happen like this. Suppose in 5 marks, in 5 mark tests, you repeatedly make mistakes in these type of things like statement interpretation, extreme words, over elimination, only, correctly, not correctly, like traps, etc. But you never analyze patterns before the exam, during the marks, then on May 24th, the same mistakes repeat again. That is why mark analysis is more important than mark quantity. After every mark, ask yourself like this: why did I make this mistake? Was it conceptual or not? Was it pressure? Was it poor elimination technique I have? Was it overconfidence? And was it fatigue? Ask yourself all these questions. That is where score improvement happens. Otherwise, you are simply repeating the same errors in the different question papers. We are moving to mistake number 5, that is destroying biological stability. Now comes a mistake aspirants underestimate badly, that is late night studying, sleep collapse, irregularity, mental exhaustion, and they call it hard work. No, that is cognitive self destruction, not hard work. A tired brain reads statements poorly in the examination, panics faster, eliminates badly, loses focus quickly. When you comes to the exam hall, inside the exam hall, you read which of the following statements are not correct. Let's say this is the statement, but due to fatigue, the brain reads correct, not correct. The not correct statement, the brain reads correct. The one word, the one small word, and 2 marks disappear. Gone. UPSC rewards sustained mental clarity, not burnout performance. Sustained mental clarity. So your biological rhythm now matters enormously. Protect your sleep, hydration, food discipline, concentration cycles, because your brain is now your weapon. Brain is your weapon. Sleep is now a performance weapon. Your brain is now your weapon. Protect sleep, hydration, food discipline, and concentration cycles. Don't destroy biological stability. Protect your biological stability. And the mistake number 6, emotional guessing. This is one of the biggest exam hall killers. Aspirants panic after difficult questions, usually. Then emotionally, they start revenge attempts, random elimination, intuition gambling, and over attempting. With all these things, a negative marks silently accumulate. Consequence like this: negative marks silently accumulate. Comes to the exam hall, you face 5 difficulty questions continuously. Let's say suddenly the brain says like this: paper is tough, cutoff will fail, cutoff will fall, attempt more, don't leave questions. and you emotionally you force guesses. This is where rank collapses begin. Remember carefully, every question in UPSC is not meant to be solved. Every question in UPSC is not meant to be solved. Every question in UPSC is not meant to be solved. Some questions are designed to test restraint under uncertainty. That is why elimination is more powerful than blind confidence. Your goal is not maximum attempts. Your goal is intelligent attempts. Your goal is controlled elimination. Your goal is emotional discipline. Your goal is not maximum attempts. This is the real prelims skill. This is most important thing. Emotional guessing. So we are moving to the last mistake, mistake number 7, that is trying to become perfect. And finally, the biggest psychological trap is trying to become perfect in the final days. Listen carefully, nobody enters prelims fully prepared. Nobody. Nobody. Every aspirant walks into the exam hall with uncertainty. Every aspirant walks into the exam hall with uncertainty. The difference is some remain stable despite uncertainty. That is the real skill. Selection often comes down to fewer mistakes under pressure, not complete knowledge. So stop chasing perfection. Now, this is the Metis truth. Selection often comes down to fewer mistakes under pressure, not complete knowledge. So, what you have to do is stop chasing perfection now in these final days before the examination. Instead of that, you have to build composure, clarity, and elimination control, and emotional stability, and paper temperament. You have to build all these things: composure, clarity, elimination control, emotional stability, and paper temperament. Because UPSC rewards disciplined minds under chaos. Disciplined minds under chaos. So these all the mistakes you have to avoid in the final days before the UPSC prelims examination. So let us conclude. The final 10 days are not for panic, for consolidation, stabilization, execution control, and mental sharpness. And remember this carefully: UPSC does not reward the aspirant who studied the most in the final phase. It rewards the aspirant who stays calm. It rewards the aspirant who thinks clearly. It rewards the aspirant who controls emotions. It rewards the aspirants who minimizes mistakes inside the exam hall. The next 10 days can still completely change your result. but only if you stop behaving emotionally and start preparing strategically, revise PYQs repeatedly, practice elimination, analyze marks deeply, maintain sleep cycle, practice CSAT daily, protect mental clarity, consolidation rather than expansion. UPSC rewards stays calm, think clearly, control emotion, minimizes mistakes. Clarity under pressure matters more than panic preparation. So until then, stay disciplined, stay sharp, and protect your mind. Because on May 24th, clarity under pressure will matter more than panic preparation. This is Niranjan Ankilla, founder Metis IAS Academy. Thank you and all the best for the examination.